Today, on the DCiReporter, DC Mayor Muriel Bowser starts her administration with a fresh start and a 5K run. DC Women in Politics celebrates women in elected office in DC. We remember some Washingtonians we lost in 2014. We'll take a look at part of the swearing-in ceremony that took place at the beginning of the year at the Washington Convention Center. And in our Places and People segment, we'll visit the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Parade in Ward 8. This is the DCiReporter. Welcome to the DCiReporter. My name is Franklin Garcia. You can watch us online at dctv.org or DCiReporter.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at DCiReporter. DC Mayor Muriel Bowser commits to a fresh start, and earlier this year invited city residents to join her in a 5K run in Ward 3. DC Mayor Muriel Bowser started the year with a fresh start. On January 1st, the mayor invited city residents to participate in a 5K run.
Happy New Year! Happy New Year!
Hundreds joined the mayor in her 5K run. The run was held in the northwest part of the city in the Woodley Park neighborhood of Ward 3. Mayor Bowser was joined by some members of the city council and other city officials.
I am so grateful and thankful to be here with my friend, the Ward 3 council member, Mary Che. Come on, Mary Che. And Mary Che will smoke all of us. So we got to keep an eye on her. But she's been my friend on the council for 7.5 years, and I know that we're going to be able to work and do great things together with your help over the next 4, 8, sometime. But let's start, let's get a great 4 years in, okay, DC?
On average, it took about 45 minutes to complete the 5K run. Many welcomed the initiative and hope the mayor makes the 5K run a city tradition.
I'm here to support Mayor-elect Muriel Bowser in her fresh start 5K run walk this morning. It's such a wonderful thing for the mayor to start off her administration with a healthy fitness focus in mind. I actually have started training about 7 months ago, and I just think it's healthy to do it. It's a wonderful day. It's cold and brisk, but it was a wonderful thing, and I certainly hope that the mayor continues in this effort, not only annually, but perhaps even more frequently than that.
It's a great initiative to start the year with a 5K run, and I think the mayor's doing a good job sort of getting us all out early in the morning on New Year's Day. So Happy New Year.
Nice, fresh start.
DC Women in Politics helps women run and get elected to public office in DC. The group recently hosted an event to celebrate some women that got elected to public office. DC Women in Politics brings together a diverse group of women representing all wards of the city. Members include women who are interested in running for elected office, as well as those who are dedicated to promoting the election of women in public office. On Sunday, January 18th, the group got together at the San Antonio Grill in the Brooklyn neighborhood of Ward 5 to hear from women that got elected into public office in DC.
Anita says when women run, women win. So we won. Well, let me just say that it's my pleasure to be here. As Anita said, I am a graduate of some of the great things that this organization does. And I would add that when women run, women win, and government runs better. No offense, Franklin. But let me just say quickly that I'm really excited. Brianna and I were sworn in January 2nd, and I know we both hit the ground running. Let me give you, so I think an important thing about women running is having mentors and people to rely on, right? So what I would say to you is if you're thinking about running or getting involved in our government, let's work together, right? Because that's how things get done. So here's how to get in touch with me. So we are at the Wilson Building. My phone number there is 202-724-7772. And my email is esilverman@dccouncil.us. I'm thrilled to be sitting on 3 committees. The Housing Committee, which I think that's our biggest issue in our city, frankly, because if kids don't have a safe place to sleep, they're not going to do well in the classroom. So I'm thrilled that Polly has been named head of the Department of Housing and Community Development, and look forward to working with her. And I think we're going to meet really soon, actually. And I think Brianne is on that committee as well. And then I'm also on the Business and Consumer and Regulatory Affairs Committee. Brianne's on that one as well. Because I think housing and agencies like DCRA, which we're all familiar with, work together, right?
It is my privilege to be serving as the Ward 1 council member, and I have been involved with women's organizations my whole life. In fact, this week I took a meeting. I went over to the headquarters of the Girl Scouts of the Metro Washington Council. I was a Girl Scout for 13 years, got my gold award, and I really think of that experience as one of the most formative ones of my life, because the two things that I learned every time I participated in Girl Scouting and that I've carried with me throughout my life are to look for work and to leave things better than you found them. Those have been my guiding principles. And so that's what I've done in the community, and that's what I've asked other people to do along with me. When we built our campaign, and now that we are in the Wilson building, that means working together with colleagues in the Wilson building. It means working with our constituents to bring the best ideas forward and not assuming that we know everything we need to know, but saying, will you please share your ideas? And I'm going to continue doing that. In fact, some of you participated in our community conversations in the fall, where we asked people to bring their ideas, and we're going to be bringing everyone back together this spring to look at the policy ideas that have come out of all of those discussions so that we can move forward. Alyssa mentioned that I'm on the Housing Committee with her, and also Business and Consumer Regulatory Affairs. I also have the privilege of serving on the Health and Human Services Committee, which used to be 2 and is now 1, which means there is a huge jurisdiction, a lot of oversight to be done, and I am open to hearing your experiences and the interactions you've had with those government agencies, so we can take that information and use that as we move forward.
In attendance were also women running for office in the special elections in wards 4 and 8.
Well, I am really excited on the fact that when women vote, women win. And this was a great turnout of elected women and their supporters. We're determined that we can do some great things in D.C. to improve the condition. We are 100% behind statehood, and we think that the women's mass will do something to change it. We're going to work on other issues related to women, domestic violence, date rape, getting more young women involved in non-traditional occupations. This was a great turnout. We are particularly concerned that we have the voice of all women, and we're excited about the fact that today we were joined by Latino continuancy of women. And we are deeply grateful of the sisterhood that we receive in this community together, working together. And we want to say to the audience, stay with us because women are on the move.
In this next segment, we'll remember some Washingtonians we lost in 2014. On January 2nd, a new mayor along with other elected officials were sworn into office in the District of Columbia. Swearing-in ceremonies were held in the morning and the afternoon. We'll now watch part of the ceremony held in the afternoon, which included swearing in of the members of the Board of Education and the congressional delegation.
Good afternoon. Thank you to the elected officials, community leaders, DC residents, and many friends new and old in Ward 1. I am humbled by the opportunity to serve as the Ward 1 representative to the State Board of Education. As many of my constituents know, I started my career in education almost 20 years ago as a bilingual 7th and 8th grade inner city teacher. Back then, I was one of those young teachers with boundless energy and optimism, some of which I still have, and I poured my heart and my soul into my students. There was one student in particular who drew lots of attention from those around her, and not always the type of attention that a parent of a teenager would want. When I met her, Susie didn't care about school and didn't see her future as being connected to school, but cared a lot about her social networks. She wasn't really all that different from most teenage girls, if you think about what's important to most teenagers these days. But in her neighborhood environment, caring about social networks as much as she did and above anything else, left her vulnerable to gangs, violence, and unwanted attention from boys. I saw Susie as a confident, sharp young woman who cared deeply about and often took care of her younger brother. I spent countless hours mentoring her, tutoring her after school, taking her on trips, involving her in soccer, spending time with her family, and even starting a girls' club that linked her and her peers with female role models from the community and beyond. Susie made a lot of progress from our time together. I began to see in her more maturity, of judgment, a deeper understanding of the linkages between academics and her choices later in life. She began to articulate a vision of her future that was grounded in her strengths, with a renewed focus on academics to exploit them. I left teaching at that school at the end of the year to join the Peace Corps, but I thought about Susie often. I was saddened to learn about a year after I left that she became pregnant and dropped out of school. I felt like I had fed her to the wolves, a system that collectively didn't support her strengths, but left them underdeveloped and even buried. As we know, children are surrounded by many influences in life that either support or work against their natural propensity to learn, grow, and thrive. Schools and the adults in them are one source of that influence, but children actually spend only about 15% of every year in school. And therefore, we need to do more to ensure that our systems of support, family, peers, church, neighborhood, are working together from the same page to help children succeed. I believe state boards of education representatives here in this city can play an important role in facilitating this at a grassroots level by understanding the challenges that parents, schools, and other elements of our system face, and then work with them to organize resources within communities to address those challenges. I ran for office to bring together the rich resources we have in Ward 1, which are so many, to support our students so that our system isn't the one of wolves, but of stallions, supporting our students to go further and with greater vibrancy and strength. To be successful, we must come together to form bands of support for our students, all of them, both our own and my own, and those of our brothers and sisters. All of our children, especially the Susies, deserve nothing less. I am honored to have the opportunity to fulfill this vision and serve on the State Board of Education for this city. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks to all of you who are here, including Delegate Norton, Senator Strauss, members of the council, and all of you from the ANC. And thanks especially to Councilwoman Che, and not just for swearing me in that very nice introduction, we won't tell, but also when I was a parent of a Deal 6th grader, who's over there, and the chair of Deal's local school restructuring team, Mary Che was our go-to person, including when we needed help convincing the powers that be that no, putting dozens of trailers on the newly restored soccer fields behind Deal would not be a good idea as the place to house Wilson's swing space during Wilson's renovation. So now you know some of the things that council members have to deal with. I also want to acknowledge the work of the ANCs. When I was Deal's LSRT chair, I could count on our ANCs for advice and support on so many issues. And I know that's true across the city. A special thanks to John Bender and Matt Fruman for all of the help that they gave me recently and during my time at Deal. Thanks to my family, who are incredible. My dad, who can't be here, my stepmother, brother and sisters and sister-in-law, and to those who were on the stage, my niece Maisie, a third grader at Hearst Elementary, who hit her campaign peak while distributing baby Ruths for Halloween, and remember my name is Ruth. My niece Emma, who was my social media coordinator for that very brief period between her college graduation and getting her first real job. And especially our son and daughter, who together attended Janney, Deal, and Wilson, and from whose experience there and in their life I learned so much. Michael put up my very first set of signs, which very conveniently arrived the day before he left to Chicago for his first year of college. Lila put up signs, got friends to put them up, and proved that at age 16, she could survive and even thrive while her parents attended largely to other things. Thank you both. And double a special thanks to my husband, David, who made this campaign doable and also lots of fun. You kept our home operating, you advised me, we joked together about the campaign trail, and every night, as chief of visibility, you posted the yard signs that had been ordered that day. I could not ask for more. Most importantly, of course, thanks to the voters of Ward 3, for your votes, of course, to those of you who are here, but also for all that they taught me in 10 busy weeks of campaigning. I will bring that to this job. And about this job, I am so excited. When our kids first entered DC Public Schools in 2001, DC schools, many of you will remember, were called among the worst in the nation. We are in a different place now, for many reasons, and thanks to many, many people. But our schools are not yet what our kids deserve or what our city needs. The foundation, however, has been laid. Our schools really are ready to climb to the next level. I was at the swearing-in this morning of the council, of our new Attorney General and Mayor Bowser. I know from listening to all of you that taking our schools to that next level is a major goal of yours as well. And here's the thing about going to that next level and creating those awesome schools that we want. Awesome schools rarely exist as an island. They survive, they thrive when they're supported by strong policy and strong research, which they get from a strong state education agency backed by a strong state board of education. Our board is new, but thanks to the people before me, it also has established a strong foundation for the hard work we have ahead. I look forward to working with all of you and all of you as we take our schools to new levels of awesomeness. Happy New Year to everyone. Thanks. I can't wait to get to work.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Judge Beckworth, for administering the oath. Members of the judiciary don't generally get high fives or singled out, but as we stand here today, democracy took a step forward in the District of Columbia. Earlier today, we swore in the first elected Attorney General in our history. And that would not have been possible without an opinion by Judge Beckworth and her colleagues, Judge Easterly and Judge McLeese from the D.C. Court of Appeals. With that achievement, let us not delude ourselves. Democracy in the District of Columbia may be in for a rough ride for the next couple of years. Our challenges come not just from a new Congress and Senate, led by a party who has not always been a friend of the District of Columbia, but with the losses of some key allies, particularly senators like Mary Landrieu, who helped guide our budget out of the risk of a federal closure by exempting it from the appropriations process in the last budget shutdown. Senators like Mark Begich from Alaska, who introduced and championed our versions of budget autonomy. Senators like Tom Harkin and Ben Nelson, who were instrumental in getting D.C. included in the Farm Bill, which meant millions of federal dollars for institutions like the University of the District of Columbia. We face a Senate and a Congress that has already shown that they stand ready to disregard the will of our D.C. voters on issues like Initiative 71 and have threatened our own ability and self-determination when it comes to firearm safety legislation. Members of the D.C. community, we find ourselves back on defense. This is the fourth time I've been privileged to be elected by D.C. voters, and I'm honored again to continue my work as D.C. Senator, whether that institution is ready for D.C. to have senators or not. We as American citizens deserve the rights and privileges that every American enjoys. We meet the obligations of every American citizen, and it's long past time that we've gotten the equality that we deserve. I was pleased to see so many of our re-elected and newly elected officials address support for D.C. statehood as fundamental to their platforms and agendas. No greater obligation of any D.C. elected official exists than changing the disadvantaged and unequal status that we as American citizens lack here in D.C., but should enjoy under our Constitution. To those of you that voted for me, I thank you, and one day look forward to being able to return the favor and perhaps vote on your behalf when D.C. is fully admitted as the 51st state in the Union. Finally, let me thank my parents for coming up, flying down, and getting here today. Your values inspired me to public service, and I continue to draw strength from your examples. To my wife, Kathy, and my children, Abigail and Samantha, thank you for all your love and support. Thank you for being here on special days like this today, but also on the less special days when the love and support of my family carries me through difficult times. Thank you to those who serve as ANC commissioners. Congratulations on your election. I was privileged to serve my community as a commissioner before entering this office, and I appreciate all the service that you do. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I want to start by first thanking God and a few special people for making today possible. I want to thank my parents, my sister, and all the family members and friends. Thank you for believing and supporting me. I want to thank Jose Suero for making the connection with Judge Jose Lopez, and of course thank Judge Lopez for the honor of swearing me in today. Thank you. Thank you to my extended family at the DC Latino Caucus and the DC Democratic State Committee. And I especially want to thank all the voters in the District of Columbia for giving me the distinction and honor to represent them in this important position. Finally, a big shout out to all Latinos in DC, because I know for all of them today is a special occasion that they celebrate with me. I am honored to serve as the next U.S. Shadow Representative and promise to do all I can to represent and transmit your will to have the District of Columbia be the next U.S. state in the Union. The journey to get us where we are now has been long and difficult, and it is bound to be more challenging in times ahead. But our determination is greater than any challenges we face. For more than 200 years, the people of the District of Columbia have patiently waited for taxation with representation. And we don't question the wisdom of those of our forefathers who chose the area known as the District of Columbia to be our national capital. Indeed, this is a source of much pride today, as it probably was for most people who lived in the city in 1801. But our imperfect human founders could simply not have foreseen all the challenges that laid ahead with the formation of the new nation. Remember, we started counting other people as 3/5 of a person. It wasn't until 1920 that women were allowed to vote. Young people 18 and over had that distinction bestowed on them in 1971. That's why we've made many corrections to continue to move towards the formation of a more perfect union. Core values of the U.S. Constitution include social, economic, and political equality that can't be achieved until the District of Columbia citizens have full representation in the U.S. Congress. It is what the citizens of the District of Columbia want and deserve. And Article 4, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution grants the U.S. Congress the power to admit the District of Columbia as the 51st state in the Union. That is the message that you elected me to carry to the U.S. Congress and to our friends and allies in other states. And with your support, I hope we can get our city the long-due representation it deserves. Thank you, and may God continue to bless the District of Columbia. Congratulations to all the people being sworn in today. The Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Parade took place on January 19th in the southeast part of the city. Hundreds attended a peace walk and a parade to honor the memory of Dr. King in the nation's capital.
We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negroes basic mortality from a small vessel to a larger one. We will not be satisfied as long as our children of 60 bath culture and large bath dignity are fine training for white women. We cannot be satisfied as long as a Negro in Mississippi cannot vote, and a Negro in New York believes he has nothing for which to vote. No, we are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream.
they really here 93.9? For real, that's them in there? Oh, that's him? That's her?
It was awesome. We have a beautiful January day to celebrate the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. People of Ward 8 and people who have come from all over the city are excited to be celebrated. I was honored to represent all of us in laying a commemorative wreath for Dr. King. We were joined by Secretary Jay Johnson in the Memorial Foundation. We have a lot of Bowser cabinet, a lot of DC government employees. Our city administrator is with us, Rashad Young. Rashad, wave your hand. And a lot of people who are just really anxious to serve the residents of the District of Columbia.
And our new
also walked with, and our Marcus Bachelor, where are you? He's one of our Ward 8's own, and one of our constituent services representatives for Ward 8, or we like to call them the Mopers. Ward 1 Council Member Brianne Nadeau is with me. Give everybody a wave.
Thank you for watching us. Remember, you can watch us online at dctv.org or DCiReporter.com, or follow us on Twitter at DCiReporter. I'm Franklin Garcia, and I will see you next time on the DC iReporter.